Morning.
Got an automotive curveball for you.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Go to 366 big block out of Chevy.
366 Chevy?
Chevy GMC big block.
Okay.
Came in crane trucks.
Oh, okay.
6500.
Yep.
Back in the 73, 74, 75. They have a taller block than a standard vehicle.
Okay.
Finding it hard to find HEI for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a couple phone calls this morning. A couple guys who did some research for me. But, I mean, I just never heard of it. They came out in grain trucks and well, school buses.
Yeah.
They didn't have a lot of horsepower, but they had great low end torque. The taller block gave them more lift and direction.
Sure.
So, anyway.
Huh. That's
I
interesting.
bought this little truck and it's only hitting on about 5 cylinders. I'll just pull it right off and throw HEI in it. That would be good, right?
Yeah. No.
I'll find it. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
I did find one they make Rosa maybe that has an adjustable collar
Uh-huh.
on it. I mean, normal HEI for a small block Chevy is $90.
Yeah.
$95. I'm just curious if you ever, I know you mess with a lot of stuff, you never heard of it.
No, I hadn't.
I hadn't either. And when I popped the hood on it, I started it up, drove it home, $1,500 for it. And, my first instinct was either 4.7 or 4.4 open glove box. 366.
366.
And it says big block.
Yep.
We'll see what happens. I called Speedway Motors.
Yeah.
We got a guy doing some research and some, but you've never heard of it.
No.
The only other person I can think of that might, if you stop this, would be, you know, Bud Stopper.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Bud,
That's a good
he
thing. Yeah.
worked on all the older school buses.
Right.
And I mean, Bud's just a knowledge. I'm going to reach out to him later and see what he
Yeah.
He may say, you can't do it. Of course, I went into Napa Saturday. The guy working behind me. You don't have a part number. I can't help you.
Might go in there today. I'm sure that Bob's in there.
Bob probably could, but I may slip over there. He's pretty, he's been around it long enough. I'm sure he's familiar with the motors.
Now, when you said 366, only 360 series I'm familiar with was Chrysler. Chrysler Dodge Plymouth at 360. It was a screaming.
But it was a small one.
Yes.
Yeah, these were big blocks.
I had that in my Fury Creek.
Yeah. Yeah. Ford had a 360.
Did Ford have one too?
So anyway, I just was curious if you ever heard of it.
No, I hadn't. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Morning.
Burr.
Brr.
Oh,
Linda
that's
will not
nice.
be here today.
Who will?
Linda,
Okay.
she's having troubles with me again. It's open enrollment for health insurance, so Barry just needs to know if you want the same thing you had last year.
Yeah, so, you want me to email or you tell us?
Just tell her.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we don't have to do anything for that for
No, you
states
just want
anyway.
the same thing.
Yeah.
I will just tell her.
I think we have to sign something if we're not participating, don't we?
Yeah, you have to leave it if you're not going to take
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
She'll do that on the computer if there was something you did last year.
okay. Did you know we didn't inspect all county buildings, just the quarter numbers?
Really?
Yeah, there's a third party that's doing that now. And they only inspect the highest covered ones every 5 years. So I just thought it was interesting that that's what they were. That's real nice guys, so we get half a dozen or so. And, he was very complimentary. He said, your county by far, especially out of Road and Bridge, he said, was neat, clean, fire extinguishers were where they need to be. His only suggestion was like here in the courthouse was to label them. He said he was going to send a report to you, and then you can distribute it out to the department heads, but put a label above it. We had a couple out there that
Morning.
were
Morning.
he's I cleaned it up, but he was very complimentary for it. Oh, I know one thing. Good morning, Todd.
Morning.
The marble steps, going up the steps, we've got a little thin piece of drip. I said something to Pat, but really on that one, I know. He goes, but that's their suggestion. I just go, that's going to stink.
We find something that they'll make you see.
Right. That would be nice.
Tom, do we need to publish that road closing? We do, don't we, in the paper?
So, yeah.
Okay. That's all I need.
Oh,
Yes. Freezing.
Oh my goodness. It's just now being fall.
I know. I left my house wide open. Friday and Saturday. It's kind of chilly when it does.
Keith and I are gonna keep our faces on this.
It was either beer or bourbon, so I went for beer. Maybe both.
My kids tried, I think it's called Horse Soldier bourbon down at the PBR. Said it was really good.
Never heard of it.
What was it?
Horse soldier, I think. It's made for veterans.
And this was at the Pro Rodeo,
Maybe
Bull
I
Run.
can't see.
Bull Run. There are a lot of people making different stuff right now.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Steve.
That's what I mean. She probably said something about coming down.
Morning. Morning. How are you?
All right, how are you?
Great. All right, at 9 o'clock, we'll open the meeting with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Second. It's been probably moved and seconded to approve the agenda as written. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Some applications for employment. Look through those. Got payroll here. I'll look over. Do you know that email that we got from the state about the flood, the property added to the flood map? Did you see that one? It came in today, I think. I was just curious on that. Are we responsible for notifying the people that got added, or is the state responsible for that, or how's that work?
I've never had it so that we had to notify anybody
Okay.
about that. I mean, you guys got the resolution already passed. So.
Yeah, as far as that. So I was just curious on that, whether it was our responsibility to notify the people that get added to the floodplain, or whether it was the state's responsibility, or how that worked. Especially since we got that, situation down in Delia right now. So,
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's close to the end.
or closer in the
You saw there was an email from the state.
Yeah. Adding all of sent to us, telling us to look it over and talking about the, let's see, and that came to commissioners. Yeah. From Alex Dunant. I think he was one that was up there presented. That it's all of the new parcels that are being entered into the new, parcels entering the new draft flood zone, being added to the current flood zones. So that's what I was just curious about, whose responsibility was to notify these people. I would guess it would be the state.
Yeah, so I mean, it's state and federal thing, it's not our.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I'll forward that to you, Todd, so you can take a look at it.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Might be something to ask Kate.
Yeah.
I've had them make the county pass new floodplain ordinance sometimes. And that happens.
Well, like I said, this is that new FEMA thing that they had a meeting on up here. Went to it. It's been a month, 2 months ago, something like that. So like I said, I was just curious. There's no big deal, no hurry. Because I don't believe, if I remember them talking about this actually does not go into effect until sometime next year, I believe. So I'd say no big deal, no hurry.
Okay. So according to the regs, when they do establish the new map or whatever, that they'll want us to do a resolution.
To do a new resolution?
Or incorporate the map into the existing.
Okay.
So there's going to be, that would likely be considered a zoning change to any other, so it would require, it's not specific notice, but just like the one for the solar, you're going to have a planning commission review it, recommend approval, and paper notice it.
Because that's a huge list on there that they're adding.
Well, you're not supposed to, or you don't have to give it to each individual name. You don't have to mail it. You just have to publish it.
Oh, just the list?
Yeah, just, well,
Okay.
not on the list. The list doesn't matter. You're just going to go, wherever your county newspaper of record is, you can notice the zoning change. Because it's over the whole county. And then I would say this is going to come up. I don't know if you can do just like a short one that's going to say, just changing the map on these sections of the existing, or you have to redo the whole thing. But either way.
Well, it's a FEMA map anyway that they're going to give us, but like I said, I didn't know about notification for the affected individuals, so.
The notification would be to everybody. There wouldn't be, I don't think you're required to parse out the people who are new in the area, the fringe or whatever. You're just doing the whole county like you
As
should.
long as Kate's office has that information, so if somebody applies for a building permit, and why you should, she would have that information go to that piece. Because I wouldn't know if any of my properties are floodplain. I'm sure some of it is. But before I build there, I'm going to apply for a building permit. They're going to give me that information, and they're going to approve it or disapprove it and move forward.
And until the resolution is passed, with the new map reference, it's the old map. So that's kind of the day that everything changes.
We just need a new resolution.
Well,
including that.
yeah, but we don't need it. I think what's going to happen is when they approve it, they'll give us a notice. Because I've seen it, like I said before, they say, you change the map, so you got to do a new ordinance resolution because yours is old anyway. Because they've got a real lined out format for this. Essentially, this is what you put in it. This one little thing is optional because you don't have this, and that's it. We really want you to follow the template. And I'm usually more than happy to collapse.
Yeah, you're in there. Keith, you're in there. You're in there.
Yep. That doesn't surprise me.
So am I, son.
With when you have bottom ground near a creek. I say it's reason, right?
There you go. There you go.
Freeze that for an election. So, no.
We started in advance voting.
9:15. How are you today? Good. Good.
Finally cooled off.
Yeah, just a little bit.
We'll take this.
Last week, had 2 tubes, one entrance pipe we worked on. Got a crossroad pipe on dirt road that was collapsed, fixed it. And we ditched 186 between T and U. It had been maintenance, but it's widened out and needs to be rebuilt. Then we fixed some bad spots on that road, so that's some pretty deep potholes. And we're still working on Debbie Road up there.
Taking one pretty good.
So, that's pretty good. It's gonna be the fastest 4 miles in Jackson County. Then we did some trenching for the electrical down the landfill. Building to building.
Oh, yeah.
Keep that going. And this week, I had another crossroad up at North Minnetonka. Fixing a guardrail on X Road. And let's put the top rock on Debbie Road.
Very cool.
So we all get done. Alright. You guys have anything?
I've not had any complaints, anything, so.
Jason was running the mower down there. He did a great job. I felt like got off the road far enough, but he did a really good job, and so I appreciate that. I noticed that, so I appreciate that.
My mower's over in Dilly right now, they complaints on the Dilly areas. They're over there.
Yeah.
Jerry's over there this week. Get those mowed back for when the snow drifts start coming in.
Not if, but when.
That's your mouth, don't say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we apologize.
But no, I don't.
I will say that, I was over the Lake Road the other day, and it had needed some attention, and it got it. It put spirit carpet on apparently. Yeah. I mean, it was getting,
Potholes getting pretty bad.
potholes were getting bad, and the rock was pushed up the side of the road, so the water was running down the road, so kept in there again, so, I don't know who did it, but they did a very good job of it, so, very close.
Pass that along.
Other than that, I talked with Scott a little bit last week. The third-party company that comes out from K-Camp came out. We inspected the buildings out there. There were some fire extinguishers out there that had some stuff leaned up against them, and that kind of stuff. But there'll be a full report, so there'll be some things. I do know down at Road and Bridge, or down at the Bridge Yard building down here, there is a fire extinguisher that apparently got used and hung back up. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it didn't have any inspection dates on it. Not a big deal, but that's one of those things where if we're doing that monthly inspection, and all it is making sure that the needle's in the green, the pin's in, and then whoever's doing it, just sign it and date it, and it's right on the card. But that one was empty.
I wasn't aware of that.
No, I didn't. I mean, I just let you know that one in particular one you may want to get replenished, in case you have something happen down there. But there is a second extinguisher, I think, over the air compressor.
Yeah, that's gotta be moved too.
It's got to be moved.
I heard that.
Yeah. So anyway, other than that, the guy was very complimentary of the county as a whole. All the buildings he inspected, the way, just the neatness and stuff, and the fire extinguishers were up, and there's a few labeling things that he'd like to see done, but he goes, this is great. So
That's good.
pass that along to whoever, and the guys and gals, and go from there.
All right.
All right, sounds good, thank you, Matt.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
Hiya. Morning. Did you talk to Scott about the closure funds for the landfill transfer station and HHW?
I have not, but I think, in talking to the guy who said that he's only going to be able to 42,000. So, 109 landfill.
I had thought that there was money set aside for the landfill already, so is that not
Or
true?
should we, for when they, so if the state came in, but did we?
There
redo-
was, but like 193,000, I think. Was
Right.
Okay.
So we just need to get that built back up, but I have to be able to tell the state guy that I have.
Availability.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just gotta figure out.
Okay. Perfect.
It might have to be county general until the end of the year when I can do things over.
Okay.
Okay,
Have you read your minutes?
I'm doing that.
Okay. Just let me know when you're done.
You have the resolution for the, or are you still working on the resolution for 45 mile an hour?
Yeah, well, I got something on that.
Okay,
I'm gonna go ahead and put it now.
no, whatever, it's your,
Yeah, let's just,
I was
since since he's on for 10:15, we'll just wait till then.
I like the way you had in your minutes. I appreciate that. Ready?
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 14th, 2025.
So moved.
Second, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 14th, 2025. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Recess for a minute.
It's telling me I can't find the trailer, so I'll just see if I can get it. Yeah. I'm just hoping to see what happens. Okay. Fine, thanks.
Pull that chair over there if you want to. You can go next one, get more gas.
Yeah.
Okay. That's gonna bring it up, sure. I said some too, you didn't have anything on, and I went, oh. And they realized when I saw you bring it. Did you read any of these? Yeah.
Read some of them.
Pretty impressive.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
No, we go. I don't buy you.
No.
From reading now.
Right. And some experience.
In some experience,
Yeah. So,
You guys will sign in,
I'm
please.
excited to be able to look at
That would be
everything.
a good one to talk to.
See, you know, like an email or just an
Just your name.
Thanks, Pat. I forgot about your arm. You didn't have your, Pat didn't have his, his leg on. I was like,
No, he says we got to force this one.
down the track.
That's right.
What's this for?
Hi, Kate. You're welcome. Good.
Maybe it's a drone.
Oh.
You and Tommy will be fine.
Okay, y'all done with that?
Sounds like everybody.
It's a timer. visual that
I don't know.
is. We did all of it for other people once, right? What's that? You don't have to sign it? Right. Well, we prefer it. It's like well, this list is for people who want to speak, right?
This is for me for the minutes.
Okay, that's for the minutes.
Yeah.
It's all
They
for,
don't want to sign it or don't.
all right, at 10 o'clock, NextEra representatives are on the agenda. Before we get started on that, I'm going to give you the same spiel that I give everybody, the opponents that have come forward to speak here. You're talking to the wrong people. We have no approved regulations before us today. Don't know when we'll get them. You're more than welcome to come up and speak for your 5 minutes, and you know, I'll listen to you, but you're speaking to the wrong people. You need to be talking to the Planning Commission, not this board right here yet.
I'm gonna
Go right ahead.
I will have questions though.
That's your prerogative. I would just assume.
I know.
I'm out of it. I have no regulations to look at, folks.
Yeah.
Until we get regulations, you're talking to the wrong people. My opinion. Okay? So are all of you want to say 5 minutes worth of stuff, or do you have representatives, or what are you going to do?
We have a presentation to give, which we can split up. But I mean, it's not going to be.
I'm treating everybody the same, opponents and proponents, okay? So we give the opponents that we've heard from two different people, 5 minutes. So do you each have 5 minutes worth of, or how you want to do it?
Yeah, so Sherman can give the presentation a little background. Again, I understand we're not talking about the regulations, but to kind of keep you updated on the project itself. Again, there's a lot of things out there. Just allow for any questions if you have them at this point. Understanding there's still a long ways to go on that. We are trying to work with the Planning Commission as well and provide information there, but just want to give that. So Sherman can give a little bit of the presentation related to the project, where it is, and a little bit about that. We have Thomas from the University of Kansas. We have an economic impact report to share a little bit of that information with you. And then we do have other people here, but then probably open up to if you have any questions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just so you're aware, these are questions that I took notes at the open forum meetings that we had out here. So they're questions that I'd like to ask.
That's great.
Okay.
That's all.
Are you able to put it on, are we,
Well, yeah,
Sure.
we can hook up the computer to it, but.
Sure.
And also, is it okay that, I know everybody has 5 minutes, but let's say you guys have a question that's even directly to me, but somebody else.
Yeah, I'll probably wait till we're done.
yeah, that's probably best, if you have questions, just wait till we're done.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. May light up.
Is the third commission open?
No, she's not here.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess is it okay if I stand, talk,
Sure.
good?
However you're comfortable.
So Mark is the chair, so.
Yeah, however you're comfortable, that's fine.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, guys, or excuse me, good morning, guys. It's been a day already. My name is Sherman Bernette. I'm the lead developer for Jeffrey Solar. As Alan stated, this is Thomas Becker from Kansas University's Social and Economic Impact. Alan Anderson. We also have a couple of guys in the back, Joe Talavera, Enrique Del Moral, and we also have Brandon Smith back here from Environmental Engineering. We're here to give, one, an update, two, an opportunity to if you have questions. Hopefully we can answer all of them, if not, at least be able to answer. And number three, just to say like, hey, we want to work with you guys, fully understand that it's still in the planning zone, where the ordinances are, which is cool, but want to be able to at least give some information. First, in case you guys didn't know, we're NextEra Energy Resources. We're the largest energy generator of wind and sun in the country. We have a very strong presence in Kansas. 2,700 megawatts is currently being generated.
We can't see the screen. Just keep going.
Okay. 2,700 megawatts of energy has been generated into the state. We have invested nearly $5 billion into Kansas already for over 2 decades, and currently we have 12 wind projects in operation all through the state, but we have a few in development as well. Next, we'll talk about the project a little more. We want to get a quick background. So this is currently the outline of Jeffrey Solar. It's supposed to be we're proposing a 500 megawatt solar energy project. Currently, right now, we're proposing to start construction in winter of 27, which will also be the beginning of 28, and we're planning to connect with Jeffrey Energy Systems. Quick context, we are also asking for 5,000 acres as an acreage cap. This would all be encompassed into here. Okay, came back. We say that to say that even though this layer may be bigger than what you guys expect, there may be lots of exclusions, maybe lots of areas where we can't build due to landowners. Maybe they don't want it a certain way, or maybe there's certain trees in the way, there's not environmental impacts that we have to account for. So, but we were supposed to account for that. Here are a couple of community engagement things that we've done ever since last year. Again, I know I've been newer this year, so forgive me guys. I've been a part of the last two, which is the planning commission hearings, 1 and 2 on the 25th and the 2nd. But some other things we've done, there's some public informational sessions and mayors quite a few times. We also made a donation for Delia's baseball team. We also had a community dinner in Delia as well. but we do understand there needs to be a bigger impact into the, and to the whole county. So we'd like to be, next, Thomas can talk a little bit more about the economic impacts.
So, yeah, my name's Thomas Becker from the Institute for Policy and Social Research at the University of Kansas. My co-authors and I found that the project over both construction and operations will create about 3,200 job years, which is one job held for 1 year, and about $153 million in labor income, which is all forms of employee compensation, as well as about $491 million in value added to the two-county area. Mind you, most of this is to Jackson County. We included Pottawatomie County because a portion of the tie line goes in there. Next step. On the tax side, we found that there will be about a $136 million increase in local taxes, the vast majority of which is from contribution payments and then property tax payments made by NextEra. But there will be about $5 million in other local taxes from increased economic activity associated with the project.
Next, we have environmental guy, or just sharing all of this.
Hi, my name is Brandon Smith, and I live just next door in Colorado. I'm the environmental manager for the central region. We start off by, we don't just go into a site and just build wherever we want. We do extensive due diligence surveys, meet with various local, state, and federal agencies where needed. We always call it the ABCs of environmental, so aquatic, we look at wetlands, streams, floodplains, anywhere, anything that's protected waters, stay away from those. Biological, we look at all the wildlife, all the vegetation, native intact prairie, we're big concerned about that. And also do the cultural resource surveys that are required, make sure that we're staying away from anything sensitive. Also, we call it the human environment, so it's like the layer, making sure that we check our boxes across the board. So,
And then next we have engineering. Talk a little bit.
Morning, my name is Joseph Rivera. I'm the engineering project manager for JaCo Solar. This morning I wanted to give you guys a summary of how solar works in a nutshell. So essentially throughout the day, the solar panels will follow the sun and absorb its electrons in the form of DC power. It will then move to the inverters, which inverts it to AC power. And from all our inverters, it goes into our project substation and then onto the grid for consumers. That'll pass it back to Sherman.
In saying all that, we'd love to work with you guys in the planning and zoning. Fully understand again that the ordinances are with planning and zoning, but just wanted to share some information of a few things that we know for our project will be challenging. For one would be the 2,000 acreage cap that's currently proposed in there. Right now, if it was at 2,000 acres, it wouldn't be economically feasible for us, as there's a 7-mile Gentile line that we're proposing, and that if it was anything less than 500 megawatts, it wouldn't work out. Also, including with this 500 megawatts, that would also be the 136 million that comes back to the local counties. If that gets shrunken, that will also shrink as well, which just doesn't make sense economically for us. And last thing is the 2 setbacks from non-participating residents and non-participating property lines. They're not based on science and engineering, and this would really shake up. For example, like we have our 5,000 acreage, we have to put a lot more spacing into there, which would effectively not get 500 megawatts, which would effectively not make economically feasible. Again, I know it's not with you guys today, but wanted to share that with you guys, just to let you know. But I know you have questions, maybe you have questions, wanted to open it up to 1, hopefully answer questions, and 2, at least begin the communication with you guys and with planning and zoning so we can hopefully work together.
Sure.
And that's all, guys.
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna start out, get this on. Okay, can you guys back hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Okay, so I sat in on both of the meetings up here with zoning and planning, listened to a lot of the folks' conversation, their concerns. You know, so I'm going to give you three figures: $600, $6,000, and $700,000. Those stick with me. And $600 was for the porta potties for a project up here in Nemaha County. The gentleman who owns a business here in Jackson County called me and said he's never gotten his final payment. He supplied porta potties for that project. $6,000. The lady who, I'm not going to hang on a second, Ellen Cook, who stood up and spoke. $6,000 for a fence. It was $6,000 and some change. $600 and some change. And $700,000 and some change. That's what Jackson County, when I became commissioner, the project was at the end of its life. We were required to provide information for NextEra for damages to our road, or just the use of the road. So we had documentation prior to. We had an independent engineering firm, I don't remember which one, came in, gave us their numbers, and said, this is what it's going to cost to bring it back to where it should have been. With that one, it took us over a year to get payment. We had to threaten to sue just to get that money. And every time our attorney would reach out to his connection or his contact person, it would change. I've never forgotten that. That bothers me. The $6,000. You're a large company. I would envision that in the $600, that having somebody on the ground here would just be common sense. For me, I don't run a big company, but having somebody on the ground here that can go, I'm going to take care of that. I don't need to call anybody. I got you covered. I'll have you check within a day or two, or whatever that looks like. That hasn't happened. So I've asked myself, same with the $600 porta potty thing. Are you kidding me? The guy sends an invoice and he gets bounced around from place to place. He's frustrated. It's only $600. It's not going to make or break him. But it did tick him off. And I would envision that if a project in this county were to go, he wouldn't be interested in doing business. Probably not a big deal to you guys, but it speaks to me. It's not that big of a deal to have somebody on the ground that can make that. So as I chewed on these things, and I've talked to a couple people around the community. Why? Why would you not have somebody who can make those simple decisions and get people taken care of in those situations? Says to me, a friend of mine said, it's because nobody cares. And if nobody cares, that concerns me. And so maybe just speak to that a little bit, but that's my first concern. So I'll stop.
Is it okay? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I would prefer that you use that. That way the folks in the back can hear.
Hello.
Yeah, you can tell towards it. Yeah.
Sorry. To your first point, or excuse me, the last point that you brought up. Again, I'm sorry that I'm newer to the area, but I like to say that I'm going to be that person to contact, and I can give an example. I don't want to say the landowner's name, but if you like me to disclose his name at a later date after I talk to him, more than welcome. But he's in Delia, and the first thing when I met him about a month ago, he told me that he didn't receive any payment as he's a part of the project. The first thing I did was reach out, and we got his payment taken care of. So specifically talking to what you're saying, I will be that person to come. If you guys have questions, maybe I can't answer it immediately, maybe I can't give you the answer that you like fast, but I can at least be the person to contact to come to as
But again, I apologize for everything that's done in the past with different projects, as I just got here, but
Yeah,
I know
it's true.
it should. No, I understand.
And I can speak a little more directly to those situations, because in fact, if you go back to that first slide, the 11 operating projects in the state, it's all the things that aren't on that list. So that is what happens. There is someone locally that can take care of it, and it happens on a daily basis, constantly, dealing with things. And I'll talk to these three things specifically. I don't know anything about the porta potty ones, so that one I can't speak to, but I can tell you a lot about the other two. But I can give you county commissioners to these other places, they're great. And they do take care of those things, and then they continue to be great in the community on that. And I wish I didn't have to talk about the 6,000 one over and over, but it comes from someone who, it's not even the person whose fence we're talking about, it's someone else who brings it and holds it up. In both those, in that county, what we had is a process. If someone thought there was something wrong, they could file an official, complaint that went to the county and to the company. That was part of the process, and it would get investigated. So the first thing, same two people said, I think the sound's too high. Had to brought in a whole team to do post-construction, monitored, tested, absolutely met exactly what we anticipated. So then what we do is we say, here's the results of that. We're going to now consider this closed. Then we came back, this fence one was part of that. Brought forward and said, hey, we think this fence is an issue. It was investigated. It does, I've seen the pictures, just not from the company. So unfortunately, keep holding up the picture that said, these people did this to the fence. That's not what the investigation showed. So we're happy to, you can imagine all the different things that were paid along that project where everything went smooth. No one calls you and says, let me tell you about this. That one keeps getting brought up, and that's the story. It was looked into, and so, happy to pay anyone where something like that happened. Any kind of thing we do in the world, whether you're doing a construction project here in the county, we're with humans, things may go wrong. The thing that's different here is when we talk about these 11 projects, the first project was in 2011, so we're kind of coming up on 25 years of operating. When something happens, we take care of it. I'm not going to say there won't be bumps in the road, but some things do. At the end of the process, I think, on the roads from the Gentile line that came from the project next door, there was a disagreement as to what the number should be. So that did take a while to work through. And, the engineers kind of did their thing. It probably did take longer than it should have. If I recall, you correct me if I go astray, but at the end of the day, we paid the full amount, even though I think the engineers said, I don't think that's the right number. But hey, let's just move past this. We don't want to, leave with hard feelings.
Yeah, I guess I'll disagree with you a little bit because it was frustrating every time we sent documentation and we paid our attorney to do this.
Yeah.
It was, we got a new guy, or we got a new gal, and we had to chase him. To me, having somebody come in and sit down in that chair and go, okay, let's work through this. Big difference. Yeah. So.
No, I think that was part. There was change over there, so that's why I'm fully acknowledging that. At the end of the day, again, with 25 years, I'm not going to say everything has gone as quickly as it should. Sometimes you have changeover, but when you look at the whole decades of history and you go to these different counties, the overall arc of that story is absolutely take care of those counties. And again, fully acknowledging you're right, that did take a little longer than it needed to.
Thank you. Okay, next question. Can you provide any of these slides, the document in a printed form for us at some point?
Yeah.
Do you have the ability to do that?
Yeah.
At least me as commissioner and probably you want
Sure.
I'd like some of those numbers just to see what those are in
We
documents.
can definitely follow up and send you.
Okay, all right. So, had a conversation with a gentleman who I respect. We don't always agree, but he's very civil in his conversation with me. He gave me some numbers. One of the things that I question is why we're not having a conversation, or we're not willing to pay non-participating landowners for if their property goes down in value because of a facility like this. And I know that you all have said that just doesn't happen. He gave me some information. I've looked at that, and
somewhere between 5 and 12% are some of the numbers that have been thrown out there. So why is that conversation not being had?
So the first part, I'm happy to look at. I'd be very curious what information shows that from an economic impact. Because
Well, go ahead.
well, because so my other role is I'm a professor at the University of Kansas School of Law, and I teach an energy law class there. So one of the things I always stay up to on the latest reports and all these things, whether it be property values, whether it be, I can go through all the health things, which I've got a report here I do want to give you on that. That doesn't track with the reports, but I'm sure interested in seeing that. And so that's the first part. We also, if you take just the wind projects here, we have about 51 projects in the state, 25 years as I mentioned. It's never happened ever. We've never had a single dollar diminution value based on a renewable project in the state, period. And I can show you where that's, every assessor where every project's been located has verified that. Both we've done it, a couple other have done it as part of reports. Reno County did it as part of their assessment. So, we have that history. Then I'll let Sherman talk specifically, but generally, people who are next to a project are offered a chance. It's, for something to kind of have a participation agreement, whether or not it has infrastructure. So that's not uncommon for that to take place. So I'll let Sherman talk about that.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who lives in Wabunsee County. Wabunsee. I think there's some wind down there. Osage.
There was almost.
Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
He told me, he says, Pete, I get this check every month. And I said, what for? He goes, because there's wind, then it blows across my property. He says, I get a check, and they just send it to me once a year. He's nowhere near it. So that's my question is, there are questions that were multiple people, a lot of it has to do with staring at this. And so I guess right out of the gate, a couple years ago, why weren't we having those conversations with landowners that are non-participating? Hey, look, if it's this, can we do something to offset your view? And I get it. No one is guaranteed a view with the deed to their property across the road. I get that. But aesthetically, I mean, there's a view problem. So I'll let you. Okay.
To the one point of why wasn't it done a few years ago, maybe Alan might have a better point to it, but again, I'm sorry I keep saying this, I've only been here for a few months, but we definitely have for other projects offered what we call good neighbor agreements to people in the area, especially ones who are boxed in or maybe a bit more challenging due to that. We're open to negotiation, and if anybody wants to reach out, you're more than welcome to.
I guess, sometimes when the horse has already been let out, it's tough to put back.
Yeah.
But having that conversation with folks to try to generate better public relations would have been way better a couple of years ago. I'm gonna move on now.
Well, if those people would still that opportunity to have that conversation with those people would still fully exist.
Yeah, and I think for some, it's just probably too late. It may be. But thank you. I appreciate your conversation on that.
I'll give a card, and my number is up there too. Anybody wants to reach out?
So having conversations with fire departments, local establishments that are, Delia has a very small fire department. I went over there right after this came to light, and I had a conversation with their fire chief and met with their fire department. I said, look, you guys got to put together some information. You've got to figure out what you're going to need, all these kinds of things. But honestly, that should have been a conversation that you guys should have been having and saying, if you need training, here's where we're going to send you to training because you need to have some specialized training. You need to have specialized equipment. They have a very small department. Their building isn't even big enough to hold all their equipment. Now they have an issue with water, which isn't your fault. And I've had conversations with their city council about their water issue. That's a whole other thing. But having that conversation with local fire departments, bringing them together, our fire chiefs all get together usually once a quarter, and get together and have meetings together, because a lot of it is mutual aid. Hoyt responds over to Delia, Hoyt responds up to Bayetta response. Even with tribal, I think those conversations should have been had much, much earlier to give them an idea of what a grass fire would look like and how that would affect them. That hasn't been done, to my knowledge. No one has met with them.
So it's my understanding that actually one of the NextEra, fire safety people did come to that meeting. I think it was to that quarterly. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that's not the same as reaching out to Chris Gordon and going, Chris, I want to sit down with you and I want to sit down with your other fire chiefs. You know the people on the ground. I want to have a conversation.
Yeah. I think there has been reach out on that, and here's from a process standpoint, that will continue to take place. So the first big picture item is there is no special equipment needed. There will be an emergency response plan and fire season plans as part of any kind of project, which includes meeting with them, training ahead of time, and then annual training thereafter. So that will, there has been some initial, there will continue to be, and there as part of a project would include both a formal plan and that training. And again, could there be more at the beginning? I'm not going to say you're wrong, but there will continue to be. And the big picture is there's nothing required from special equipment or processes. The fire department would not be asked to go into the project area to do that. What they would do is they would maintain, there's actually already a break, they keep a break for fire.
How would they put the fire out though if it's in the middle of it?
They don't. If it's in the middle of the project, you let it.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. So that doesn't calculate.
No, I understand. So what you have is with a solar project, you have stuff that is really not combustible. You have things that don't. So what you have is grass that's a type of grass, native grass that's maintained at low. It's not the type that burns well. They keep a perimeter around it such that fire couldn't go out of it. So if fire starts within it, the system is de-electrified. So there's no addition. There's nothing that could fan that flame beyond that. So then you let NextEra take care of their equipment. We wouldn't ask the fire department to take care of the equipment in there. It's to make sure a fire doesn't get outside of it, but there's already a break to also assist with that. It's really more, it's just general prairie fire.
Yeah, I mean, I've done plenty of pasture burns on my own over 30 years running cattle and having to burn pasture. And I'm telling you, the wind gets up and you've done your due diligence of mowing and doing a back burn. Doesn't always work that way, because when the wind kicks up, it gets to jumping. I struggle with understanding how you wouldn't allow them into the facility to get the fire out, because they're going to want to go and they're going to want to put the fire out, because the biggest concern is people's lives that live around there. So, yeah. Can you give me any examples of two things? Facilities that either you deal with or you know of that have either had fires or tornadoes? Surely in all the projects you've had somebody that had a tornado.
Well, it has happened. Absolutely, it's happened. You just go to the internet. You can see that. So the way a tornado works, as we all know, is it'll go through. So if you look at that project area, if the tornado goes through, it'll cause damage through its path.
Correct. That path could be up to a mile wide. So how do you deal with the cleanup?
So anytime there's an event, whether it be, pick your event, that it could be hail or a tornado, what you have is, this is the encased material, so there's nothing from a chemical issue, there's nothing from a contamination issue, period. That is studied to the end of the time. There's no contamination issue.
Right.
What we have is the kind of the tempered glass that then, if it breaks, generally stays in place, be like a windshield or something like that. But if it can obviously break apart, you have teams that go in for cleanup, and it's to pick up the debris material.
So they go in and pick up the debris and the material if it's spread across 2 mile.
Sure.
Do you have any examples of that where you've done that?
I have not had one. We've had it with wind, where we've had blade failure, lightning hits. So it's similar. What you have then is usually under an extreme storm. So you have debris that can be blown. It doesn't fly in a harmful way, but you get on the ground. We've had one a couple years ago that blew the material around for the next couple of days because we have 50+ mile-an-hour winds. Then we did send crews in multiple times, and they literally they have a process. They go in, do a sweep, get the material, rinse and repeat, do it again to the extent needed.
What about insurance for damage to other property owners? So debris flying hits somebody's house, hits somebody's car, farm equipment, crops.
Yeah, so in that case, crops. So they were compensated for so there was debris in the crops, so they replaced. It was can't remember if they had alfalfa, but something for forage. Got compensated fully for it. So that kind of damage.
If I had a beautiful stand of brome and it came up and somebody drove across it just to pick up that stuff, I'd be a little ticked.
Well, they work with the person, obviously, and so but they would have a team going. This was at a time when they could go do that, and they clean up the debris and they fully compensate the person in that case.
But how do you compensate? Is it through dealing with an insurance company, or do they have to deal with NextEra?
In this case, they did it just directly with NextEra. They have a team that goes in and make sure they kind of agree on the number and pay them.
So again, do you have examples of that you can share with us where you've actually done that?
Yeah, the one in the Irish Creek project, we had that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
And maybe individuals, that we can talk to those individuals and say, how was your experience?
We'd have other ones. And unfortunately, about 1 in, I think, 10,000, there's a blade issue. Again, Kansas, though, if you just want to look at Kansas, obviously, go wider than that. With solar, we don't have that much here.
No, I'm not talking about just here in Kansas.
Just generally dealing with us. Yeah, we've had it in Kingman County. We've had it, so we can get you people to talk to you. In fact, I talked to the Kingman County Commissioner, who then sits in your shoes and says, okay, I'm going to hear from the people that come up. How's it to work with them? How is it when something like that happens?
Yeah.
I'm happy to get the name for you.
I had our road and bridge public works director reach out to Nemaha County, to their road and bridge department, just to find out how things have gone up there. Because from time to time you have to bring big equipment in to take care of stuff. It wasn't a glowing report. Tear up roads with heavy equipment, because if you have to go in, you go in, rain or shine, snow or sleet, and you do what you do, and the rest is left on the road. I struggle with the kids who have to go down those roads and go to school and drive through the ruts. I struggle with taxpayers that have to get on those roads and drive through it to go to work every day, and how they're going to be affected with that. It seems like it could be a huge mess for a long time. And I struggle with that. Would I like that? I wouldn't want to drive out of my driveway and cross big ruts and have a lot of big heavy traffic. And you see where it's something that's real. So I'm just curious, with Nemaha County and the condition of some of the roads up there, and they said, yeah, we eventually get paid. I don't like it when I hear eventually. It should be, nope, somebody's on the ground, they're up here taking care of it. However, that gets taken care of, and I really don't think a road and bridge department should have to chase somebody around in heavy equipment to take care of that. So just comments on that and how you've approached those situations?
Yeah, and I'll let Sherman add to this, but you take, again, 25 years history at these different places, and if you do a polling of all the different places, I think you're going to hear really good reports exactly as you would anticipate. So because we're dealing with humans, I think there have been a couple occasions. Unfortunately, I know of one in Nemaha where a contractor did go off the roads, unfortunately, in wet conditions. So I think that's one probably top of mind there. Long and short, they absolutely did go in, saw it. There was no bartering about it. It was taken care of. The road got fixed, and it was contractor. they kind of went in the wrong time in the wrong place. But the way, again, if you take how will we be to be in a county? How have we been for 25 years? Perfect? No, there's no project that's going to come in and have infrastructure happening that'll be perfect. But from a long arc of the story and how it's been in all these different places, in every case, no county's been left holding the bag. Everything's been taken care of. Occasionally, maybe something took a little longer, but it always does get taken care of. And I think it's a really good way to know how will we be in this county, as you can look at the other ones.
Okay. So one of the questions that came up during those meetings, it was whether we would have money set aside into a escrow account and how that would be funded for decommissioning. And I believe that, if a third-party engineering firm or whoever that expert is says that it's going to be X number of dollars to decommission this, if you all walk away and the farmers or the landowners all walk away, are you willing to fully fund day one an escrow account?
And by escrow account, do you mean cash escrow account?
That means cash.
Okay, so
That means if it's $10 million to decommission it and taking it all out and make it look pretty like it was, are you willing to put that $10 million, $50 million, $100 million into an escrow account and let it sit there with a third party holding it so that if this happens, all we have to do is go get that money?
Yeah, so the first part is I do think it's important that you have security in place. It's never happened, but in fact, it'll probably be the only thing in the county where you have a security in place that if the person goes away, it takes it down. So this will be your most secure project you're going to have. That'll be the first thing. And I think that's important. And I think that's great, and the company is very comfortable with that. It's the methodology. What do you do? Do you do cash or do you do something else? The first part is, I'd say on that, is just having cash sitting there is really inefficient. That's the first part. I don't think that's, we don't do that in very many places, and I'll tell you why we don't need to. So then if you look about how do you feel the most secure from the security, is you look at the institution that's holding it. If you put, and it won't be this, there's larger numbers, but let's say we'll just make up for the purposes here, it's $2 million, just for the easiest purpose. $2 million sitting in that account is less secure than it would be in a bond or letter of credit. And here's why. It's only based on the creditworthiness of the institution. If that bank, you've got a local bank, it's probably less creditworthy, not that it doesn't mean it's uncreditworthy, but less creditworthy than the bond. If that bank goes out of business, you've lost that cash, we've all lost that cash, versus if it's on a bond at a higher creditworthy institution, you're safer with that bond or letter of credit, but we don't have the waste of just having cash sitting there. So the purpose is you need to be secure in the most appropriate way possible, and what I'd suggest to you is having cash at a bank is actually less secure than a bond because at another institution is more creditworthy.
Cash in the bank makes me feel good.
Just from a risk perspective.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the thing here in the community is that there is this fear of large company, and I go back to some of these things, not on the ground early, not developing relationships. At any rate,
although I've been here for years, and we're trying to make sure, again, so not perfect, but try and make sure.
I understand what you're saying. I know different than what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to hit on the 2,000 acres. We as a commission, we developed a template to go to our zoning and planning. That's what they're working with. 2,000 acres. That's it. So you're telling me, here today, and these folks that are listening, that if it's only 2,000 acres, it's not a doable thing.
It's not economically feasible for the project to go.
Because of the build out of transmission lines?
Correct.
Okay.
The other part of that,
So that's the first part, is because this project is competing against, when you think about off-takers, the utility, for example, or whoever that may be, with projects elsewhere and based upon what that customer wants. So it's not as if we can just say, well, we'd love to deliver that at this price, but we'd like to instead give you this. They say, great, that's thanks. We'll just go to Nebraska, or we'll go to another project in Kansas. And so this project, if you put the kind of this condition on it, where you make it where it's just so much smaller with this Gentile line, it just doesn't they'll just say, no thanks, we can go to another project. Or they say, so either of this will get you, or no, we need 500 megawatts, and if you only have that, we just can't make that work. So it's not as if we can, compromise and just say, oh shoot, we'll just do a smaller one. The customer says, no thanks, not at that price, not at that size.
I drove up to Iowa, looked at your project up there. It started out as 2,500 acres, I believe. Why was that one able to go that route? You're saying because the initial expense, I don't know.
There could be a multiple set of reasons. Like, for example, this one is a very large Gentile. Also, a lot of money is coming back to the community, so it's more the economics to it. That one could have been, hey, we proposed 200 and expanded. This one isn't the case. This is like 500 megawatts makes the project go.
Okay. So you talked about the money coming back to the community. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you generate a number when you all sit down in your room? How do you say to a county, okay, here's what we're going to give you as a county, a payment in lieu of taxes, not all the fluff that goes with it as far as what you potentially would create in your economic report. What does the county, if this was a natural gas or oil, we know how we would calculate that. So how would you calculate this? Is it by the megawatt? Is it by the number of panels? Is it acreage?
Well, first, if it's natural gas or oil-fired generation, it'd be zero, because they would not pay any tax for 10 years, period. Right? All sources of electricity generation are either 10 years, or in the case of some natural gas, it's 12 years. So it's actually not a payment in lieu of taxes, because that is usually only associated with a program where the county has discretion of whether or not to give the.
It's a donation.
It's a donation. It's right. That's right. So that's the first part. And my guess is, so like farm equipment is lifetime exempt. Oil and gas, wells, lifetime exempt on many of them, not all of them. And
if it was a nuclear facility like in Hot County,
I think that's 10-year exempt.
But after that, they've made bank over in Hot County.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, their schools want for nothing. They're
great roads.
Yeah, great roads, great. Yeah, they have it all. How do you calculate this project?
So and I've worked on most of them. The answer is it's a donation. So they, and with solar, and the margins are tighter than wind. So it's kind of coming up with, in this case, I think it ended up at $1,500 a megawatt, and that's what we've seen in the other projects too. And so what we try to do is be fair to the other counties that are participating in projects and kind of have them in the same range, so that someone doesn't come back and say, well, we got a better deal, you got a worse deal, something like that. So that's in line with what you see with other projects. But again, it's a donation. So my guess is there's not another entity or person that has tax exempt property that comes in and provides a donation, the same. So it's not a set formula.
But if a Walmart distribution came in, we'd be able to tax them. We'd probably give them tax abatement for a few years just to entice them to be here. That's one of the questions that came up: is how is it benefiting the taxpayer? All the people who live in this county, they have to pay property tax, and so how would we help offset that for a large project like this, where they're going to be using roads and they're going to be doing all this stuff? How would we do that?
So the first part is that $2.4 million a year, just the direct number that's coming for years 1 through 10. And Thomas will catch me if I go astray. This is the direct that comes to you. That goes into the general fund. So that goes to the county general fund. Then years 11 through beyond at $5.3 million a year. That once the project is built, so we'll get the roads back up to as good or better after the construction phase. You start at a better place. Then the actual the maintenance or the use of the roads is someone in a pickup truck. It's not heavy use after that. So there really is nominal cost to the county. But you have this coming in. Beyond that, then what you have, and actually Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory just came out in September with a new report about what happens to communities that host projects versus those that do not. What you have is with this money coming in, it goes into the schools, it goes into the infrastructure, it goes into all these different places. They find, as you would imagine, people go to those places. So now you draw people into the community, you keep people, and you have succession planning with people. So what they found is communities that hosted the entire county benefits from it, from better of all those things. So there's the people that participate directly, but then there's everyone else in the county that has the benefit of school payments, your fire departments, all those things.
So school payments, how are you doing that?
Well, so the first 10 years, the money goes to the county. If
So we're gonna dole that out of our portion to the schools?
If you choose, so that's it. So each counties do it differently. For the most part, most counties have said we prefer it to come to us, and we can determine the best use at that point.
That was one of the questions.
Some counties said that 2.5 million. Why don't you do 1 million directly to the schools and we'll reduce that? So you all can make that decision. What most have said, vast majority have said, we prefer to have it go here. We may have a big expenditure like a community center. We may have a bigger expenditure like a fire safety building or something like that. That you have the discretion. But if you prefer, you can have that and say, no, we prefer to have you cut ours back and go directly to whatever entity that is. And then of course years 11 through 30, that goes in as just normal property tax, so that'll go to all the taxing jurisdictions.
Yeah, I got one. Cadmium telluride, can you guarantee that none of the panels that you would be putting up would be made of cadmium telluride? Where's your engineer guy?
Yeah. I'll talk about a lot of things with the engineer.
Morning again.
Morning.
So all the, I'm not familiar with poly, what is it called? All our panels are made of crystalline silicone across the board. So I've never heard of that being
It's very
in
popular
our
in
panels.
solar panels, especially coming out of China.
We do not use panels out of China.
Okay.
That is a
Okay.
technology.
That answered that question, because that's one that I've been asked about many times, so. Okay.
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm clear on this thing here. The construction phase, you've got about $1 million that's going to someone other than the state of Kansas. What's exactly the $480,000 NextEra contributions and property taxes?
What is that?
What's the methodology that is paid for?
I mean, those are the pilot payments,
Yeah, there you go.
contribution payments, and property taxes in the years 11 through 30. So those are direct from that.
Construction phase.
So, the first year, first annual, first line there, 480, that's just pilot, right?
Right.
Source of that is public pilot. Second line, local activity, 353, what's that?
So that is things like sales tax on stuff that construction workers purchase. That is personal property tax. This is the follow-on effect of all this economic activity going on in the county.
Okay.
Can we open the door back up there so that a little circulation there? Thank you.
So the third column there, 165, what's that?
So those are local taxes, but they're outside of the two-county area. So if I were commuting from Topeka, if I was from out of state originally, but came to the state for the project and were commuting out of Topeka, I'd be paying some sales taxes in Topeka locally. So it's just local sales taxes that are in counties besides Jackson and Coleman.
Okay, so
Was there some trick to this mic?
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and correct me, what I understand what you're saying is that for Jackson County alone, we're getting 480. We're getting a portion of 353, probably weighted in our favor, I'm assuming. Right. Because Potawatomi County is secondary.
Yeah.
And then 165 is going to somebody else.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So the reality of that is that And it's sales tax oriented, it's not property tax.
Well, so mostly in the construction phase, it's sales tax oriented. In the operations phase, we're assuming that the operations employees live within county, and so there would be some personal property tax associated with that. Yeah, people moving to the county, there'd be a vehicle property tax.
Well, so we have the operations phase first 10 years. The number for contributions goes up quite a bit. Is that just another pilot function?
Yeah, that's the same pilot. So I know that these figures are kind of in flux. When we did this study about a year ago, we annualized what was at the time considered a one-time pilot payment during the construction phase, and then we got an annual figure for that first 10 years operations.
Yeah, assume there's a part of the donation agreement is done, there's one at the beginning of construction.
Okay.
And then starts on the usual.
Well, did that raise any other questions? Because I got the answer I needed on that one. The other one was, and this is pretty vague, but has NextEra been in touch with the tribe about this project?
Yes.
In what way?
They have a whole tribal relations team that is so I'm not part of those communications, but they have communications with the tribe. On any project, they actually, it's pretty remarkable what they do with tribes. And it's not just the tribes who are currently located, they actually communicate with tribes that have a historical history with the area and do all sorts of cultural resource assessment and everything else. In this case, they have had communication with tribes, and people will continue to have that.
Is the project we're talking about here, you and at least your understanding that it's outside the reservation, right?
Correct.
Has the tribe indicated to you that they claim jurisdiction over this project?
I'm not part of the tribal team. I've heard that.
You haven't heard that?
I'm also very new, so.
Well, and I'm just trying to figure out what have you guys been apprised of the fact that they have a franchise law? A franchise law. That they're saying they're going to control all, I guess, would be utility lines throughout the reservation. And can use them, shut them off?
No, I haven't been communications with other relation to that at all.
Well, we just had some communications about that, so we wanted to see if they'd been in touch with you. We told them that you were obviously,
right.
If there's a regulatory question about how you guys relate to them, that is up to you guys. I just didn't know if they posed the same thing to you that they did to us.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. I don't know that I have any more questions. I just go back to the number of acres, and with my issue of trust, I'd almost say it needs to start smaller. When you have a trust issue, the only way to figure out whether somebody's doing a good job or you can trust them is you give them a little. And if they're entrusted with a small amount and they do well with it, then you can trust them with more, right? That's where I'm at. I really struggle with some things that I've seen that just bother me. We can go into all the the noise and all the other scientific crap, but not crap, but you know what I mean. Stuff that means a lot to other people, but boy, it just, for me, as one commissioner, it boils down to trust.
Again, I think this is great about this conversation is that I hope that it's not the end of the conversation. I hope that this is meant to, as you hear things, you have issues, you run into that. And then what I also look at is the, some other counties, like 8 or 9 other counties where they have projects. Talk to them, or I'm happy to provide information, because it's like anything, if you hear one that isn't quite enough for that, instead I'm happy to give this, show you where all the projects are and have communications with those folks and say, because I think the best way to find out how we'll be here is how is it in these other places. Again, I'm not going to talk about any of those specific ones, but ultimately, the story with NextEra in Kansas is that they're always going to win. They're always unright on other places that they do. So that, I think, is how we're going to do it here in Florida.
And to piggyback on what you said, if you heard my friends or even some of my coworkers even here, like I basically live here. I'm here all the time now. Whether I meet with landowners, meeting with other businesses in the community, or hopefully one day I meet with you guys or planning and zoning or anybody in the room. I'm willing to talk to you guys. If you have more questions, any other problems, always willing to have a conversation. I don't want to have a closed door policy.
Sure, and I appreciate you guys coming in today. I thank you for the information.
Thanks.
I will say this, and I've said this publicly and sitting here in the meeting before, that, once we have the regulations, okay, that's the key right there. Once I have regulations in place, then I will have more questions for you. With the regulations, I'm sure you will have more questions for us, and then we can sit down and hash that out. But I've always said that it's going to come down to whatever regulations that we put in place. It's going to be the county regulations, and if a business can fit their business model, their business plan into those regulations, that's great. If not, I'm sorry, then it's not a good fit. So that's just kind of the way that I've always said it had to be. And as far as acreage, I've been very open about that too. I won't vote for anything more than 2,000 acres. I'm just flat telling you right now, I will not do it. I will not cast my vote for more than 2,000 acres. So, and I'm just one commissioner, so that's where I've always publicly stood, and that's where I'll stand. So.
One thing on that, again, I hope it's still a conversation we can have, because when you look at, I've looked at JaCo County. JaCo County is a really interesting county, and you have the benefit of being in proximity to some place like Topeka, you have the burdens of being in proximity to some place like Topeka. So if you look at what's taking place, and I don't have the numbers exactly, but basically JaCo County between 2017 and 2022, it lost something like 20% of the family farms and 20% of the agricultural acreage in the county. That's a massive amount. It's one of the only reasons we find. Kansas itself is always one of the biggest on losing it. And we lose it to encroachment from small parcel homes, and we lose it from the eastern red cedar. We lose massive amounts from those. There's one thing, so if you think about the value, that's why when you think about, at least hopefully continue to have a conversation. The one thing that will preserve that acreage for the long term is the solar project, because it is a long term, but temporary use. At the end of that use, 20 years or 30 years when it is, that's the land that will be preserved to go back into agriculture. It's easy, the grasses, the soils will benefit from it. So the protection of the agricultural lands, there's going to be nothing better than that than solar project. So again, I hope we can continue the conversation on that and how it can benefit the county both from the economic but also from the agricultural land perspective too.
Sure. All right, I appreciate it, guys.
I don't have any other questions.
And I'll just, I have a report, we didn't get into it because, obviously it was in the time. It's from Dr. Chris Olson, one of the world leading health experts on that. He goes through the different things and the issues that came up. I'll just leave this with you all. It's kind of a nice reference point. Okay.
All right, good.
Live with the clerk. I have a couple of copies of our economic impact study here.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's great. Thank you.
Should I leave a card too?
Yeah, I don't believe you had one last time.
I did not see you.
Yeah, I remember you.
Cool. I'll leave those.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you for the time.
All right, thanks, guys. Todd, I believe you're.
I am up.
Gloria.
The only thing I had a couple of things that went out last time, but I haven't had any responses yet, so it's all kind of gone with no change on some of those things. The only thing I really had that was something we can act on is You gave me the Potawatomi ordinance, I looked it over and I checked the sites.
On the speed limit.
Yeah, on the speed limit, that's right. And I looked at the statute again, and I was all concerned about whether or not you needed an engineering report, and then I read it again, and subsection H of that statute says you don't need an engineering report, with or without. So we're clear on that. I think the thing that kind of hung me up is this defines or separates out unpaved roads from paved roads. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
That was the question that kind of held me up a little bit on just redrafting this and putting it forward. In the sense of, are you guys making that distinction in this one or not?
I think that we need to, don't you?
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, 45 mile an hour on the paved roads that I know of in the south end of the county, I'll be plenty fast enough.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there would need to be a distinction. All roads, hard surface or not.
I believe if you do not make a distinction between paved and unpaved, then it reverts back to the state speed limit of 55, is that correct?
Yeah, okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding then. I'm saying all roads, paved or not, would be 45. You're saying
Some of the unpaved roads, some of the gravel roads, I don't think need to be 45 mile an hour.
That's what we're looking at, though.
I thought we were looking at the paved roads.
Well, that's the question.
Gravel roads is what we're trying to bring a consistent speed over gravel roads. Because right now, if it's a gravel road and it's not, Doug, you might have to move out so we can hear.
Shut the door.
Okay.
Just leave it cracked, please.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Doug, appreciate it.
Right now, on gravel roads or paved roads that aren't marked, the speed limit is 55. That's what I thought we were doing. We were establishing across the county a speed limit for, that it can be lower, it just can't be higher.
Right.
So, for instance, in the Hoyt area, it reduces down to 35. Great. But they can't raise it back up to 55 after our.
So then we just say on the resolution, unless otherwise posted?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, well, I'm still not tracking here.
Okay.
Because look, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but it
I've got it in
says,
front of you right here.
yeah, just to make sure we're all clear on what it says. It says unpaved road shall include gravel and dirt roadways, but shall not include a paved road, which makes sense. Paved road includes asphalt, concrete, chip seal, or otherwise paved. So I know chip seal by my own experience, it's kind of not necessarily always the same as an asphalt or concrete.
But can't we change the resolution?
I think what you can do here is just to make it clear is to say, you can say, it doesn't matter what kind of road it is, it's this. I think you can say, we're dividing it to unpaved and paved, we're going to have unpaved at this, and paved at this.
Correct.
So, it is open to you because you can do just about whatever, so it's kind of like.
Thoughts on that, Mark? You have a problem with making just a more universal so that all roads are 45? Do you have some up in your area that are
There's a lot of my area I wouldn't want to drive 45 mile an hour on.
too fast?
Yes.
Okay, so right now you can drive 55.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying is if we say all roads, paved or unpaved, or max speed is 45 mile an hour. Right now max speed is 55 mile an hour.
And that's what I said. I think if we're going to do that, I believe that, they went 40 miles an hour on their unpaved roads. 40 miles. They don't even say what their paved roads are. Okay? I don't think 45 on some of these roads around here is a viable speed limit. I think it needs to be a little lower than that.
So you're wanting a resolution that has multiple speeds, and we're going to name each road?
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying on unpaved roads, I think it needs to be a little Because we have 45 posted on most of our chip and seal roads. So I think it needs to be dropped down a little lower than that,
Based on what?
based on my own experience of driving these roads.
So I think we're gonna go below 45. I mean,
Well, Pot's 40.
yeah.
So we can start like with, you're thinking maybe pay, I mean, again, it's the max, so the best, if you do this, the best cement grade road is gonna be 40, the same as the worst chip and seal thing you have.
So 142, that first 5 miles of 142 all the way to W, it's 35 miles. Mainly because of the amount of truck traffic, 10-wheelers, semis, that type of thing. But is that low enough?
I think that's, yeah, I mean, I was thinking 35 for,
On all roads.
on all gravel roads.
And then 45 on all hard surface,
Paved roads, what is defined as paved roads in Potawatomi County.
which is any hard surface.
Yes.
Chip and seal, we don't have to name them all, just hard surface. I'd like to get Linda's thought on that.
Yeah, but I think we need to table this until Linda's back.
And I'd like to get Road and Bridges, Public Works, thoughts on that too.
And I think probably we need to get an opinion from the sheriff as far as for enforcement on that, so.
Yeah, it seems to me to be a legitimate question about, if you got a chance to set it,
There's some real benefits to slowing down to 35 mile an hour on these gravel roads. You don't lose it to the, speed is what really pushes wide, gravel off the road and gets rid of, a lot of dust and stuff. So I'm fine with continuing that conversation and having that.
Yeah, let's talk about that, let's get Linda's opinion, Public Works opinion, and if we can get Tim's opinion on it also, if he can come in next week, as early morning, or just send us a written statement of what he thinks about me. That's
Or if he's got somebody that, one of his sergeants or somebody that wants to come up and maybe somebody who deals with traffic more than maybe Tim does. But yeah, if Tim wants to come up, that's fine too.
okay, well, that was, I think the only hot one on my list, so, if you got any other questions, let's go back.
I don't know that I do.
Well, there's my time's up.
So the sales tax, sales good, has it been 14 days since you filed it? Is that what, that's what we were waiting on?
I think tomorrow
Tomorrow?
is, going off my memory in my head, it hasn't been. Yeah, I think it's tomorrow and that's just setting, like I said, that's just the passage of time, it's not, nothing's done officially at that point.
Okay.
I now can set the sales, so we'll be talking to them about that.
All right.
And I understand that, you guys are wanting to bid the taxing.
Say that again.
You're wanting us, the county, to bid the taxing, meaning essentially for anybody to outbid us, they have to pay the taxes.
Yes.
We're the first bid is
Whatever the
tax.
tax owed.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, that's the first bid.
all right.
Other than that, I can't think of anything else for you.
Okay.
You're free to go.
I am free. Yeah, just scan.
Go ahead, any conversation about the,
Cable out until Linda gets back, I mean, I don't know. I think,
I'm fine with that.
I think we need to put it back until she gets back, and we all three have a conversation about it.
I'm fine with that. I think it's some pretty good candidates.
Yeah.
At least one.
And I'll go ahead and set Doug Fisher up with an interview also.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you able to get a hold of all?
No, we've gotten two.
Got two? Okay. That's fine. If they don't respond, they don't respond.
Yep.
No biggie.
Okay.
It is what it is. If they applied and they won't respond, they
Can't force it to.
can't even worse the water, but can't make it drink. I got it.
Joke.
Have a good day, Tom.
All right, you guys.
See you later.
Yeah.
Start a fire or something.
What's that?
Start a fire, Chris.
No heaters under your desk unless it's plugged directly into the wall.
Well, he was busy.
I bet I heard that 50 times in that, and people were just, oh, okay.
Did he go to the dean's office?
Oh, yeah.
Do we get a chance to speak now?
Are you on the agenda?
Sign that list.
That was for who's here.
That was for her minutes. So her minutes, she typically likes to put who was in attendance, so that's what that was for. But yeah, unfortunately, if you
Said for and against, so I thought that meant.
I meant that you spoke one day along with Mrs. Cochran, Mrs. Cochran spoke another day and another day. So I'm not saying, what I meant by that is, I'm not discriminating against anybody that's for or anybody that's against, okay?
Is it too late to get on the agenda then?
That's up to if somebody wants to, make a motion to put you on the agenda. I struggle with that because it's this.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. If you got a short comment.
It's short, it's short.
Okay. I'd move we allow Matthew
Yes.
on the agenda for a short comment.
Second, it's been moved and seconded that Matt Price get put on the agenda for a short comment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same sign. Floor is yours.
Thank you. I want to start off with a compliment. I appreciate the dialogue that we just had. And you guys, I appreciate all your comments and questions and all that. It was very much appreciated. My other thought was, I'm sure you guys are aware of the billboard outside of town.
Oh, yeah.
So, do you have an answer for that?
I do.
Go ahead.
But, Mr. Chair, you have
Go right ahead.
So I'll tell you the same thing I said 3 weeks ago in a podcast that I did with Rowdy.
Oh, right.
Did you listen to it?
I have not yet. I want to.
So Rowdy asked me that same question. I'll tell you that the day you walk into your polling place and you decide to fill in a little circle for your candidate, you are picking someone to make those decisions. And that's what you do. When you pick your county commissioner, that's what you're doing. You're choosing that person to make for you those decisions. Doesn't mean that you don't have input, it just means they get to make those decisions.
So you guys made the choice not to have that.
We didn't make the choice. We're saying that when you pick a county commissioner, you vote, or you pick an elected official, you're giving them the right to make certain decisions on your behalf.
Sure.
The only thing, and I told Rowdy this, the only thing that I know of that we put to a vote is by state statute would be sales tax. And you, Christie, may correct me, but that's about the only thing that ever goes to a sales, to a vote.
School bond?
That's school. That doesn't involve
That's totally
us.
separate entity.
Yeah. So, but good question, and I appreciate you answering it.
I think the community would feel better if everyone got to put their input and vote on it. I think that's how I do it.
No, and
As a whole.
And I understand where you're going with that, but they get their input at these open forum meetings where they can come in,
Right.
they can ask questions. Right now, you're asking questions.
Right.
And so So, what happens is, or what would happen, if we decided to put it to a vote, a public vote, countywide public vote, for everything that people didn't like or people did like, it would bankrupt us in elections and time.
So pick and choose.
Yeah, you can't pick and choose. So, good question, I appreciate that, but yeah, that's what you're doing when you
leave that before and just, you know.
Yeah, when you exercise your right to vote, and that's what we're doing, is we're electing officials to make those decisions for us. Both at county level, city level, school boards, state level, federal level, so.
For me, this has been a big one, you know.
It is.
A lot of this stuff just kind of goes by the wayside until it's a big issue.
Yeah.
And then everybody wants to know what's going on and why and how, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, that's why we're all here. So.
Yeah, we tried, like I said, we tried to explain and talk to people, but still just a lot of misinformation gets out there for whatever reason.
Sure.
And people want to believe the misinformation over the factual information.
And a lot of times that's the only way, that's the big chunk of the information we get.
Yep.
The wrong information.
So, I would encourage you to go back and watch what I talked to Ryan. He asked me a ton of questions. I told him he could ask me anything he wanted, and he did. We don't always agree, but that's okay. It's called civil discourse, right?
There you go.
So, all right. I appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
All right, do we have anything else today?
I have nothing.
Christie, do you have anything else for you in your basket?
I'm gonna hand these back to Chrissy, so that she can secure them.
And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourning?
Yeah, we
Yes.
are. We're in the process.
Hang on just a second.
So
Entertain a motion to adjourn, so move second. It's been properly moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, all opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.
Good.
Would I be able to talk to one of you guys about the solar stuff?
Sure, you can talk to one or both of us, it's perfect.
Awesome. Which one? What's the right role?
Don't matter.
Mark is the chair, so,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean,
We both have, information.
Yeah.
So, yep, that'd be perfect.
Awesome. Do you have an office here or something?
Right here.
we're in it.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Look, why don't I just scoot over this way?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Easier for me to scoot this way.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Great days.
That was careful with people.
Oh, not too bad. I would have got here earlier, actually. I didn't need to be, but I forgot my camera. So I drove 30 minutes here, then 30 minutes back, 30 minutes the other way. But that's okay.
Well, 4 makes it a lot nicer for that,
Yeah, right. I've driven like 6 hours in like one day.
Yeah.
We drive all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to Manhattan, then Emporia, and then back to Topeka in one day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.